Bungie's newest game, Marathon, is set to release on March 5th, but we already have some very interesting news about Marathon as just yesterday, on February 26th, they began this event that they're calling the Server Slam. This is going to run from yesterday, March 26th, up until March 2nd. And the event, the Server Slam, is specifically to stress test the servers, see how things are running, and to give people a sample of the game before the aforementioned official release on March 5th. And while the 24-hour peak concurrent player count, according to SteamDB, did hit 143,621, there's been a lot of bad news coming out about Marathon already. For example, people have been saying that they're actually bored of the game because there's not enough PvP and the maps are too empty, not enough player encounters, not enough PvP as mentioned. There's a number of bugs and a very clunky and confusing UI to navigate. But perhaps the funniest thing from yesterday is how people were reporting that they weren't allowed to type Arc Raiders in the Marathon chat, that the devs had censored Arc Raiders apparently. Arc Raiders, of course, being a popular and highly successful extraction shooter sort of game, and Bungie apparently is terrified of having to compete with them. We can see an example of the censorship unfolding from Ninja's Marathon stream yesterday.
Open your text chat with Enter and type Arc Raiders.
What? No. No way. Wait. Arc Raider. Bro,
Of course, a lot of people tried this out for themselves and found the same thing to be happening, and this actually ended up in a mini news cycle yesterday where Marathon was getting a lot of backlash for this. A lot of people were laughing at this, and it ultimately led to a response from the Marathon dev team, as they began to respond to some of the news posts pointing out the censorship and showing this screenshot where people are now able to say Arc Raiders in chat. They didn't explain why it was censored, but apparently they undid the censorship, and other people began to confirm that, yeah, you can now type Arc Raiders in chat. It gets even better, though, because gaming journalists over at PC Gamer then ran defense for Bungie, saying Marathon briefly censors Arc Raiders in chat, just like Activision and EA did, and it was probably another accident because it was quickly and quietly fixed. Oh yeah, just an accident, yeah, sure. And like I said back on January 27th, during the Highguard situation, PC Gamer, that same outlet, has a history of running defense for AAA. For example, they had previously defended Highguard and also defended Concord. Not just that, but also Assassin's Creed Shadows. Moving on from that, though, we've got a lot of criticism from people that tried the Server Slam out, starting here, for example, this user saying that the game is awful, bro. Never seen a worse UI. The guns feel terrible. Looting takes 10 years because it's not obvious what anything is. And enemy players look like AI. Back over to Ninja, we have an example of him experiencing similar frustrations regarding the UI and menu elements.
With 1.2? All right, well.
boys, I gotta be honest with you, man. This is hands down one of the most complex, like, menus I've ever seen in my entire life, bro. I have no idea where I'm at, what I'm looking at. Like, I mean, I'm getting it. I'm starting to get it, but like,
yeah,
there's like a million menus. Armory, vault, loadout, shell select. Shell select is like who your guy is. Loadout. These are just new people?
All right, chat, am I missing anything?
I'm just writing up.
Kelski YT saying similar, Marathon got to be the first ever font slop game. There's like 20 different combinations of fonts, boldness, levels, sizes, spacing, all caps versus regular caps, all on one menu page. Just an absolute eyesore. They really need to pull back on the whole abstract thing for the UI. I'll leave the screenshot that he included on screen for a few seconds longer if you want to take a look, or pause and take a look for yourself, and then moving on. Many people have also been criticizing the character models in-game. For example, this tweet from Lavender Gast that says, the only thing that sort of appealed to me in the game, and they took away all her aura from the trailer. You can see they seem to have made the character have like broader shoulders. They changed some of the colors with the outfit and stuff. It's a bizarre choice to say the least. Now, to my understanding, the characters in Marathon are called shells, or specifically runner shells. And there's going to be some customization to the shells, but I don't think that's going to involve like actually changing the character model itself. That seems unlikely. What I'm getting at is, I doubt you can undo how they widened the character and like made the shell have broader shoulders and all that. Even Paul Tassi doesn't seem to be having a very optimistic outlook for Marathon. 1 hour ago, he tweeted, "You're gonna yell at me, but this is a very bad trend line heading into tonight," showing how the player count fell off all the way to 58,461, and how there's also lower lows and lower highs on the trend line. Someone would respond saying, "Paul, it's the middle of the workday." And he responds to them saying, "I know, but I can see where this is going based on it being effectively flat for 5 straight hours. We'll check back in another 5, but I don't think you're gonna like it." A different user responds with, "I would say give it a few hours before alarm bells ring. I think it's fine if it manages to approximate around 100K by the end of today." But Paul Tassi responds once again and says, "You really don't want a 40K drop-off on day 2 at the start of a weekend." VTuber Marshall Bohemond tried the server slam out and had a very negative experience with the game that he details in this write-up. He writes, "Marathon, the end of Bungie. Where do I even begin with Marathon? I wanted to give it a fair shot despite my criticisms, but letting me do that was Bungie's biggest mistake. TLDR, Marathon is bad, don't buy it. Let's talk bugs. I streamed it last night with Maximilian ENVT. It ran fine-ish on my PC, but on his, the sound didn't work. It couldn't register his keyboard and mouse, and on my end, it would randomly cause OBS to chug. My PC is well beyond the recommended specs for the game, so that shouldn't be a problem. I was halfway through streaming it when my chat asked where the audio was, so while I could actually hear it, unlike Maxi, it wouldn't register sound via OBS. On Maxi's end, it took a frickin' driver reboot to fix it. These are bugs that should have existed since the pre-alpha. This is on top of reports of it potentially damaging PCs that run it." Then he goes on to criticize the gameplay itself, saying, "This is not balanced as an extraction shooter. It's balanced like a cooperative PvE game. So enemy mobs are tough, numerous, and deadly. This is fine for a co-op PvE game, but this is a PvPvE extraction shooter. The meat of the content is meant to be enemy players with PvE combat as filler between such encounters. The PvE encounters will leave you starved of resources, making the PvP fights more one-sided. This is bad game design. The gunplay is serviceable, I guess, but it's just Destiny 2. I mean that literally. It's an asset swap of Destiny 2. Reused models and animations are common. The long-standing theory, this was a Destiny 2 extraction shooter mode, cut out and repackaged, stands vindicated. However, it's nothing to write home about. Nothing other extraction shooters, free-to-play ones at that, don't do better. Destiny 2 gameplay is a poor fit for an extraction shooter. Finally, a word on narrative. Other extraction shooters give you enough world building and information to ground the gameplay loop. Marathon doesn't. It's a worse version of Destiny 1's speaker, saying he could literally tell you everything about the setting, but he won't. Because screw you, that's why. You have no idea of why you're there, who you are, what you are, or why you're fighting for or against anyone. And it's not presented well, it's presented as lazy, using mystery boxes in lieu of writing. I'll wait for Eve, Vanguard, to hit Steam later this year for a sci-fi extraction shooter, or play Arc Raiders in the Arena Breakout Infinite, if I'm in the mood for post-apocalypse or realism respectively. Marathon is a tire fire. Don't buy it, leave bad reviews, and bully Bungie about it. Completely inexcusable. But hey, some people are enjoying the game apparently. For example, this news outlet Push Square would say, "Sorry haters, but Marathon is looking real good right now." And the screenshot they used to show us how good it looks is this bizarre character like leaning all awkwardly at the screen. I don't know how they think this is like a good example of Marathon looking good. Like, this just looks weird, man. Then there's Twitch streamer BurntPeanut, who went on a little bit of a defense for Marathon.
Don't shit on it day one when they try something new! Even if you don't like it, shut up! Shut the hell up! Let them work, let them cook! Let them cook or you're gonna get Call of Duty 96! I'm not living with Call of Duty 96! I can't do Call of Duty 96!
Conversely, however, even on the official Marathon subreddit, people are not happy with the game. For example, this is one of the top posts there today that reads, "The UI/icons are so bad. Why do I have to hover over every item to see what it is and find out that this exact same looking shield is 50% stronger?" So that is a brief overview of the current public reception for people that tried out the Marathon server slam. Let me know what you think about all the latest. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you in the next one.